Oh, let's see if this thing is on. Hey, look, the stream is live. Welcome to Vlog Thursday. And yes, it's Thanksgiving morning for those of you who are here in the United States and are familiar with our holiday schedules. Hi. So I'm doing it today in the morning. Technically, we're not open. It's a national holiday. And I figured if I did it in the morning, I'd get to say hi to some of my people from Europe, which is cool. Because normally I think it's really late in Europe, because I do late night Vlog Thursdays. So hey to all of you. So that's London, Indian Ocean. Yep. People on the other side. This is too early for the California people that I know I get a lot of. And probably just in time for Belgium. Hey, Pascal, how's it going? So great to see all of you. I'm only going to do this for, until my wife complains. I don't have a time limit. I'm here. It's 8:50 in the morning. I actually got here about 8. And let me see what here. Cool. Let me turn this down so I don't want to hear notices. Cool. All right. Yes. Good morning, Kevin in New Jersey. So definitely cool that my East Coast folks are going to be awake because it's 8:50. I hope you wake up this early. I don't know. That's up to you. I'm not one of those people that say everyone needs to wake up early to be successful. That was like a big debate a few of me and my friends had. Do you have to wake up early to be successful? I wake up early. I don't think because I wake up early is related to success at all. Some people are night people. Some people are morning people. I just don't sleep a lot. So I'm kind of both. I am working on more firewall comparison videos. And that's actually not what's behind you. So let's move all the stuff that's behind you. And what I'm doing here, I'm going to put together a few different, this is my backups running for those of you wondering, a few different videos related to different firewalls. And one of the ones I want to cover and dig into a little bit is Untangle. We've used it. But I haven't done any in-depth reviews on it. I want to talk about how their dashboard works, how their system works, and why it's a good solution for those of you that won't stop asking me the question of, and let me drag over the pricing on it. One of my most common questions I just get constantly is, hey, I want a firewall that does auto magic rule updates and blocking of websites and content filtering and da-da-da-da-da. We all do. And pfSense is an amazing firewall. I'm a big fan of it, obviously. But when you want really nicely done rules and everything, they cost money. And that's where I'm going to do a paid firewall, which is the NG firewall. I've looked at a few other ones. This is one I'd like to do for you. We've been messing around with it for a little while. I have some friends that use it a lot. For businesses, it's pretty reasonable. 50 users, about $1,000 a year for the licensing subscription on it. So I'll be talking about this and breaking it down too. And I'm going to also compare it to the Unify firewalls because I just get these constant questions. pfSense or Unify, pfSense or Unify. I like Unify firewalls. I think they're a nice product. I think they're way harder to configure when you get to the Edge series of them. So Ubiquiti, technically, I'm talking about the whole company. And then the Unify ones are just really basic. So does it fit your needs is going to be the question. So I'm going to put together like a matrix. That way, every time someone asks me which firewall should I choose, does it fit your use case? That's really what it comes down to more than anything else. Because with firewalls, it's not like one size fits all, or even do you need the NG firewall complete like I have? Well, let me get my head out of the way. Whoop, move my head. Do you need a firewall like this that offers, really cool features like, web filtering, brand filtering for websites and all this other cool stuff? Do you need that? And if you do need that, then yeah, you are going to have to pay some license fees. There's not any magic bullet for filtering, SSL inspection, and easy setup that I've ever found in the free market. PF Blocker is great. I use it. I think it's great, but people want granular control. They go, no, I only want to block Bob and accounting from going on Facebook, but I want to be able to have the other users, and you want all these different permissions. Not a free service. Now there is, and I haven't looked at this in a while, but I want to do an updated review. this is another paid service that does work inside of pfSense. Once again, paid. So, by the way, it's not free. I like to iterate that to people because everyone wants the free solution that will magically make their network perfect. This is like $8 a month, first 30 days free. This is a cool add-on for DNS filtering. But something I want to point out about any of these is DNS filtering for a limited time only is going to keep working. As we keep moving towards HTTPS and DNS over HTTPS and SNI encryption, it just keeps breaking more and more things. Matter of fact, one of the things interesting about Untangle when I was playing with their filtering is I never really got in depth on how their filtering was working, but it turned into a discussion with one of my tech friends of, oh yeah, by the way, it blocks QUIC. Well, that's interesting. So I Untangle blocks QUIC UDP. So here's the talk about the QUIC protocol. And this is the reason why it blocks QUIC is because QUIC you can't really do deep packet inspection on. So it's not, no, Google's not using a proprietary DNS solution. Google is on the forefront of using encrypted DNS. So it's not a proprietary solution at all. So these are just things that are happening that are, it's part of the way systems work. The problem is, and there's of course a double-edged sword to this, as many governments have done more and more filtering and watching of us, the companies have come up with solutions. So Let's Encrypt helped encrypt everything. They've done an excellent job with that project. So first we've got HTTPS everywhere with Let's Encrypt because they gave away free certs. So that added encryption on the transport layer. Of course, that breaks tons of things on the other side because all of a sudden monitoring tools, started not working. Well, now they watch our DNS and they allowed the Comcast and all these big ISPs lobbied so they could take all the DNS information and then sell it for money. So we started encrypting DNS and we got Cloudflare DNSSEC. So Cloudflare completely supports, and so does Google, DNSSEC. So now DNSSEC comes along. Well, now we've encrypted DNS. So now once you start encrypting DNS, a lot of these filters relied on DNS information. And let's go a step further. Cloudflare encrypted SNI. So this gets even more difficult to do it. So encrypted SNI is encrypting the information that sends back and forth. Because in the clear, what domain you're going to is sent in the clear. Even with the DNS being encrypted, your domain is there. So now we go a step further and we encrypt that layer so we don't even know what domain you're going to. So then we come all the way back over here to how do we do filtering with anything? Without installing a cert on each computer, it becomes almost impossible to do any type of real blocking. For now, it works because if you block things like the QUIC protocol, you just end up forcing Google to automatically do TCP standard protocols, which can be watched and filtered. But how long before you can stop blocking it before you just lose access to services? Because these companies aren't just using QUIC protocol to hide things. They're also using QUIC protocol over UDP because it allows for better management of data. And when you talk about the scale of the internet and how much data is sent as streaming data, YouTube, for example, like what you guys are watching right now, the QUIC protocol is a more efficient protocol. And efficiency in protocols means saving in bandwidth and more efficiency at the data center level. So you can see this cascades down. So before I quit ranting, implemented FreeNAS Unify, cool. I'm struggling with FreePBX reinstall. I only have incoming out and outgoing. Everybody says it's a router thing, port mappings. But before it worked well, but no port mapping. I have no port mappings. None at all. The problem is more than likely, and let me pull up. I think I can do this. I got to do it on a different screen because you guys can't have my login for this. So let me log into my FreePBX. And the forums are way more help than me. I muddle my way through this. So let me log in. I think that's the right login. Yay, free PBX dashboard. Connectivity, trunks. And I'm going to pull up something. Now, this completely depends on who your backend provider is. And I just got to take out that. And then incoming. Outgoing. All right, make sure there's no secrets in there. Nope. Oh, I got one more. All I took out was my usernames and my passwords, because obviously I can't share those with you guys. Sorry. I don't know if I can make this any bigger. But what I'm showing here is for Pascal, outgoing, outbound.vitality.net. Vitality is our SIP provider from Trunk. Allow all incoming, type friend. Insecure equals port invite, host, DTMF follow, disallow auto. Like, these are the settings Vitality has in their documentation for free PBX. The only thing that changes is depending on what section of their server you're on. Like, mine says inbound 5. They have like an inbound 6 and 4 and 3 and da-da-da. So when you're doing this for your incoming outgoing, it's just you have to follow exactly what they have. When I was trying to figure it out, I didn't read the manual and it didn't work, and it just wouldn't accept calls and things like that, but it would outbound call but wouldn't inbound call. I put the settings in. I just didn't look and found the exact page for free PBX, dropped these settings in, and like magic it works. So there's no ports opened at all. There's no special settings in my firewall. No settings in pfSense related to my phone system. None. Doesn't need it. Unfortunately, I'm not much of an expert, but whatever trouble you're having, the forums are way better than me, because that's where I go. All I do is take your questions and Google them a lot. So I don't really, the forums are going to be way better than me for that. So I have no port mappings. At least I can help you with that. What do you think of the cert chip for pfSense? It makes no sense to me. I have no idea what the cert chip is. If they would post it on Facebook, I would call them vague booking. I don't know what they are talking about, and they haven't followed up on that blog post, I don't think. That's where I tweeted, tagged them in it. And by the way, they didn't even comment on the tag in the tweet. Like, explain what you're talking about. Like, isn't this what an SSL cert does, and certify that I'm downloading it from you? I don't get it. I have no idea with them. So I got nothing on the pfSense thing, because there's just no information. Yeah, sometimes it's just as easy as that. Yeah, we use Pop! OS or Ubuntu, I don't think, none of us are running Debian anymore. We had one of our workstations running Debian for a while. No, I take that back. The front counter, do we ring up sales on for like the retail? That's still running Debian. So yes, we're all running, for the most part. I mean, we go back and forth and we have VMs, so there's more than just, we have to run Windows for some of the client support things that we do, so that's a thing. That's nothing I can really do anything about. But in the big picture, yes, I'm running Pop! OS still. I've been really happy with it. I have not moved to 1810 Pop! OS because, I don't know, I haven't had a compelling reason. 1804 isn't broke. Then they actually broke a tool I use, so I didn't want to switch to it. They broke, this. Make sure it's not under customer related. This is my screen capture retool Shutter, and it's got removed from the repository, not because of Pop! OS. It's actually an upstream problem in the Debian Perl, some argument over things. I don't remember. My friend we explained it in the SMLR podcast. He dug into why. All I know is that the end result is it breaks this tool, and I use this tool constantly for screenshot. Why Pop! OS other distros? I just think Pop! OS did a good job of polishing up the interface. And I like someone, I love haters. Someone's like, well, you reviewed Pop! OS, but all you're really reviewing is GNOME. And I'm like, no, it's GNOME plus that. And because my audience is broader than a detailed Linux distro review, I kind of implied that these are features of Pop! OS. Yes, I know they're features of GNOME. I could also say, try to break it down. Well, this is still built on the same Linux kernel that everything else is built on. And at some point, where do you stop? That's always a challenge when you're making these videos is how detailed do I get? Where do I start? Do I say that this is the way the Windows or the way the search works, or the way the not wobbly Windows, but the way the GNOME features work? Do I say everything's a GNOME feature that also is used in Pop? It makes the video hard to do if I had to say that each time. If I did a video titled "What Makes Pop Different Than GNOME," that would be a way I would do that. So, yeah, Learn Linux TV, Jay. Me and Jay are going to do some videos together. So, Jay is moving from Proxmox to XCP-NG. So, it's not that Proxmox is nice. I don't know. I didn't like it. It seems like it's just too command line driven, and I like command line driven, but I have a management thing I have to do, and I have a staff that has a bunch of things to manage. So with all of that, I just like XCP-NG. Also, XCP-NG, based on everything that I can tell compared to Proxmox, I just don't have enough knowledge about it. Proxmox doesn't seem to scale at the same levels of XCP-NG. And we're going to go ahead and jump out of the firewall stuff here. So if you go to XCP-NG forum and start chatting with people in here, you'll talk about people that have 10,000 VMs running inside of here. It scales big, very big. And when you combine it with Xen Orchestra, which, by the way, for those wondering, I have both Xen Orchestras. So we do have... I always preach buy stuff when you need commercial support. Yes, I have this. If is the Premium Pro Support Edition, I have this. I also have this because I like to talk to you open source people who want to use the open source version. So I have both, and I keep them both up to date. So here is the Pro Support. Here's the there's the Pro Support. Here's the non-Pro Support. But back to why I even opened it up. It just scales really, really well. So, I've looked at Proxmox. I'm like, cool. I just don't see the scalability that I see with this. I kind of like it. It works really well for scalability. Also, some things that are kind of cool is like right now, we have two servers. I don't have three, so I don't have HA failover. It's just we're a tech company. If something fails, we'll hit a button and turn on the other one. People wondering why I didn't buy a third server for automated failover. But let's take my OSSEC and migrate it. So it's on, here, we'll show you what it's on. So it's on Xenifer 2. We want to move it to the first Xenifer. So there's a move. Yeah, I clicked with the mouse and I can move a VM. Let's watch it move while I'm doing the video here. That's how fast I can just bump servers to other servers that are live and running. I don't know, what does this take, like 30 seconds? It just has a lot of nice features. And by the way, if I wanted to move more servers, like move them in mass, I can just migrate groups of them. Or then I can say, no, I want to take and do my lab servers only. So let's find lab servers. Let's start them, move them, reboot them all, migrate them, force reboot them, force snapshot all my lab servers real quick. It's just kind of nice that you can do all this and then when I talk about doing it at scale, we have a client we picked up that is doing this across 4 data centers that are 4 remote locations with one central management web interface, Xen Orchestra. So I like Xen Orchestra. I have clients using it. We're using it at clients. It scales really, really well in terms of really big scaling. That task took less than 30 seconds. I just moved a VM to another server. So it's one of those things, like I haven't had a compelling reason to use Proxmox. This does everything I want it to do and more. Shared storage pools, all the magic I want. Some people complain it doesn't have, and that they are adding ZFS in here, but once again, I don't know that it's the biggest selling point that ZFS is built in, because ZFS on Linux is, to me, not as good as ZFS on BSD. Probably I'm wrong, but I don't know. I like the way this works. We have shared storage pools between these, except for this. That's an error. Ignore that. That's Tom goofing with stuff. So, I don't know. I haven't had a compelling reason not to use Zenorchestra. The forums are great. The support has been top-notch. The product has worked really, really well, and I haven't had any headaches with it. So, and actually all the updates have been really smooth for it as well, so you can't really beat that. Even for us, here's our 320 terabytes, or 13 terabytes of storage between the pools and everything else. Yes, Zen server containers core OS. So it supports containers via Docker with Core OS. That's the one that they kind of, so I don't really use Webmin, for those wondering. Webmin's cool. I think Webmin's a neat tool. I've used it a couple times. I don't have it actively installed really on any of my servers. I've used it to set things up when I want to figure something out that I don't remember how to do from the command line, but that's rare. So Webmin's kind of cool for that if you're not familiar or good at the command line of a particular system. And you can then, load Webmin, and it kind of puts a really nice web interface on top of it. I've got a great review of it, so you can dig into it a little bit. So it's good. It's a great tool, especially if you're a lighter weight Linux where you're not doing it all the time, so you don't have the time to learn or get good at the command line. Put Webmin on top of it. It's a great administrative tool for that. So yes, it does support containers. Moving away from ESXi. Why not? I mean, I have customers using ESXi as well. I don't think it's a bad product at all. I'm a big open source advocate, huge open source advocate. Hey, Chittum from Chittum Consulting. How you doing, Brett? So me and Brett got to do some videos together. We're going to do some soon. I'm working on a lot of things, my business and all kinds of fun things, but I'm also working on another series of videos that I'm going to be doing with Brett. We're going to dive into some business topics. I'm kind of outlining it. I have to figure out a few ways to delegate more things in my business that I do, so I can delegate my functionality so I can make more videos. The hard part of that is, the balance is, videos only make me a part of our money. A lot of the tech stuff is where we make a lot more of our money, so I got to keep the lights on. But we're working on some plans for that. I'm going to do a whole bunch of MSP videos. We're going to do a sales video related to MSP sales, and so it's going to be kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, ES6i, like I said, it's not a bad product. It's obviously the big guy in the market. It's huge, but depending on how you look at it, someone, and I hate this, someone's like, "Oh, VMware's the best because that's why it's the biggest." Well, that would also make McDonald's the best because they sell the most burgers. But they're actually wrong. VMware is not as big as Zen, and I'll tell you one reason why, and that's because of a little company called Amazon. So Amazon, I know they're switching, and very specifically, they're switching to KVM. The AWS infrastructure still runs on Zen server, not XCP-ng, not Citrix Zen server, but Zen server at the core. So that's something to think about, because Amazon is by far the biggest cloud provider. So technically, Zen server is the most popular hypervisor if you want to quantify that in some meaningful way. So the only reason I'm using, so I can use custom BIOS fixes with it. Well, I don't know what custom BIOS fixes are needed. So yeah, I don't have any custom BIOS fixes. So I don't know what that means. I'm just being honest. I've not had to do any. Maybe you have some weird use case, but even my Windows servers are not. Yeah. So, Pop! OS. I use Pop! OS. I've done a review of it. So, one of the things I will talk real quick about. So, hosts, VMs, lab. People keep asking about this, and it's easier than you think. Let me find what I forgot what I was looking for. Whoops. So if we go here, whoops, dis, and we choose Clonezilla, boot order. So, we're not open today or tomorrow, officially. I'll be here making videos tomorrow. I got all kinds of things to do. So, that's not news, though. So, one of the things that I'm showing here, and I'm going to do a video on this because I think people overthink things all the time. And people are like, well, I don't know how to export from ESXi, VirtualBox, name your hypervisor. And, you know, they're like, I don't know how to get out of there. And I'm like, well, just clone it. Like, literally clone it. Use a cloning utility. And in the case of Linux here, and I'll just show you, you can just, yeah, me and Brett should do a video tomorrow. I'm actually for that because there's a lack of, we shouldn't be disturbed much tomorrow. Because there's not, people don't call us. I'm not a retail store. I have a retail store that we fix computers. I'm not a retail store that sells stuff for Black Friday. So yeah, that would actually work. But when you want to move hypervisors, I'm going to do a video specifically on this because I think this is a question I've just had pop up a lot. You can literally start Clonezilla here on this hypervisor. So we'll start Clonezilla and device image. We'll do Samba server because I already have it set up. For protocol, auto, enter, beginner, restore disk. Oh, look, here's 2 Windows disks right here. And what I'm really showing you is it's the ability to just go through Clonezilla. By the way, it's free. So you download it, put it in your hypervisor, back it up, save it. Oh, and if you don't have somewhere to save it in between because you don't have enough storage, you don't have a file to save it to, you can set one as a receiver, one as a sender, and just copy it between them. So, and for those of you who can't see what I'm talking about, this is what I'm using right here. It's just the Clonezilla. Like I said, this is free. There's plenty of other ones out there to do Windows servers. Aomi Backupper is another one. They have a free version. They have a paid version too that's pretty good for business. They have a Black Friday sale too if you want to buy it. So that's cool. So pretty easy to do. You just clone it. Do you know any automation software for installing Linux from ISO? I don't know why you would need automation software for it. It's next, yes, next, yes, next, yes, choose options. Like Ubuntu, all of them have really easy installs. So and if you're talking about configuring it after install, Ansible, I have a whole video on that. That's kind of a common way in the industry is Ansible. Or if you're doing cloud deployments and things like Azure or AWS, you use like a cloud deploy. So, or cloud config. Was it cloud config? Is that what they call it? It depends on what you're using because it's built into XenServer as well. Advanced force shutdown. Settings. Cloud config. When you're doing deployments, if you have it set up properly, you can just do a cloud config. Can you get a UPS to do a safe power down? Yeah, sure. I mean, it's Linux. You just run the UPS monitoring utility and it will do a shutdown of it. taking DD dump and gzipped compressed and then swapping and rebooting. Yeah, that'll work too. Like Ansible, there's another one. Red, yeah, they all have their own, all the distributions mostly come with their own systems that will let you do that. So, hey, awesome, Rochester Hills, local guy here, awesome. I mean, there's so many, and there's not just one, there's so many different automation utilities for scripting, Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Kubernetes. I mean, there's, you name it, CloudStack, however you want to come up with your deployments there. Any recommendations on UPSs? Not really. I've used a variety of them. What's that company? I have to look up. There's one of them actually that I do like a lot, more than the others, I guess. What is that company's name? I think actually, you know what? They sent me stuff. I think it's Eaton. They sent me a thing. Let's see. I mean, APCs are nice, but if you're looking for a really good line conditioner, that's the different category, and that's really if you want something good. Let's see if we can't find one here. The company is eluding my name right now. What is that company's name? Maybe it's Eaton. I think it's Eaton. Yeah, these guys. So Eaton makes a nice one. Triple Eight's good too. The cool thing is when you get these Eaton ones, the rack mount expandables, we've got a few clients running these. They're really nice. They just have a really solid build. I think I did let me look. I had done reviews of so many things. Have I ever reviewed one of these? I feel like I did. Oops. YouTube. Getting ahead of myself. Let's see. Nope, I never reviewed one. Okay, I'll put that on my to-do list. And I swear I did, but I guess I didn't. I think I talked about doing it, never did. They do make a power. You want a power supply integrated into a UPS that doesn't go from AC to DC and back to AC and DC again. They do make that. There are a few systems that allow for that. Because what they do is they have it converted and then it line levels out. And this is actually something Unify supports. Unify's one of the things let me look, which was it? Unify 10 gig switch X16G. A few Unifys support this. Let me look around. Do they have a picture of the back? I covered this in my video, so here's the data sheet. We're going to find it real quick. But what they support on this, Unify is not the only company that does this. I've seen a lot of other companies doing this. But, right here. Here on the back panel is a DC power input. Do they have a better one? There we go. So they have a 48 or 24 volt DC terminal block on the back. And what that's for is some data centers are configured that way, especially some of the small ones. And what they'll do is they'll plug in a power backplane, and this saves the waste you get from converting AC DC back down. So they only do one conversion, and then they hardwire in the switches and devices with that. The problem is sometimes you run into is not all of your power equipment. Like, for example, Dell does not, to my knowledge, make anything like that. This is why when Google built their data center, they had built it with a lot of specialized computer equipment using singular voltages to eliminate some of this waste problem with that. So it's kind of interesting, but it is something that is something that is solvable. And if you buy the right devices, you can build a DC IDF room and everything that without having to lose the conversion. So it is possible they do make equipment for it. It's just more specialized. Would you say it's easy to migrate away from Hyper-V to XCP-NG? I don't know why it would be a problem, but I've actually, anyone who's using Hyper-V, they usually have a use case for it, and we're just leaving them on it. So it's not like we come in and have to migrate them. It should be able to, like any other, as long as Windows is not too unhappy about it, you can just go ahead and back it up. So, pretty simple. Like, you just back it up, export it to a file, and import it into XCP-NG. So just like I showed you with Clonezilla would probably work. Matter of fact, I know for a fact, because I've done it a few times, Clonezilla works great with Windows 10. It just moves it. I haven't had a problem at all. Oh, yeah, if you're in the telecom market, DC's been popular for a long time in the telecom market. And one of the reasons why is DC in the telecom market was a lot of it helps eliminate any hum that you get from all the electrical conversion. I used to be doing Nortel equipment, like the Meridians and the old equipment there. It was, it's one of those, it's just common. It's all that equipment was DC based and everything else. I think all the power conversions were separate on there. So when will I see the Schmerin video? I don't know what that means. Oh, Marvin video. What Marvin video? I don't know what you're asking. Unify Flex. Nope, I haven't done any Flex cameras. So not been done any testing with them. I think Chris from Crosstalk did a few of those. Disk to VHD software. Oh, cool. That works. That's great. Yeah, T310. It's an older server, I think, but yeah, load XCP-NG. It's easy to load. I got my getting started video with on there. Matter of fact, you know what? I have one of these T310s. That's actually one of the. I think this is one of the servers we're using to demo on. It's in the other room. Yep, looks just like this. I'll assume this is the same server. Yeah, Marvin's gone. He doesn't work here no more, so I don't really see him anymore. He works elsewhere. Soft Ether. Actually, Soft Ether looks okay. I don't know a lot about it. It's kind of neat. What is interesting is, to me, WireGuard is a lot more interesting. It started as a hacker project to exfiltrate some data, and turned out to be a really interesting high-performance firewall that's been designed. So this, I believe, is slated to go at some point into pfSense. So, do I have any content from the screen sharing program I use? Which one? As in, I use OBS. This is being recorded in OBS right now. Is that? I use OBS for all my recordings. I have a whole workflow on how I do all my recordings and everything else. That's all done with OBS. There's my video editing workflow. I have that on here. I'm going to do a new one too because I've changed a few things, but for the most part, it'll get you going and a few things, but all the same software processes, not software changed. PeerTube, I don't feel like uploading to all these places. I mean, it's neat, but I don't know. I don't have a reason to upload all this. It takes enough of my time uploading everything to places I do put it. So I haven't really gotten around to it. Unfortunately, a lot of those don't have a business model around them that makes any sense. And YouTube does. That's why YouTube will be around. And we've watched so many of these places. You put a lot of effort into them and then they just disappear anyways. And they don't have the discovery and viewability. And then I have more places to try and check comments. I have enough trouble keeping up sometimes with YouTube comments and emails. So yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see WireGuard. I've seen people talk about it. So let's see. Was it a forum post? I don't know. It'd be interesting if they did. There's some discussion on here, but it doesn't look like they. Doesn't. Now the free. Here's the problem. The FreeBSD port of it's still broken, so it's still really, yeah. Let's see. Oh, the new guy loves the way we work, so that's been a lot of fun. So let's see. The screen sharing. Oh, yeah, how do we remote into computers? Screen Connect. I have a review of Screen Connect. It's actually, I'm sorry, they changed names. I still call it by its this tool. This is what we use for our remote support. Screen sharing. See, I have a random question. How will the Threadripper play with Zenwich Shutter? I'm thinking about going into building out a Threadripper 2 virtualization server. Yeah, I heard it works well. Back to I love forums. So let's, oops. So yes, it looks like it's supported. Go into the discussion. There's people actively talking about this on the XCP-NG forums that are more. I don't have a Threadripper to test. Maybe I will one day. That's not today. It'd be cool. I don't have enough. And here's the thing. I mean, it's supported in Zen server, so it should work because they support the AMD EPYC processors. But generally speaking, they're only going to support what do you call it? The data center versions. That's the official support. Doesn't mean it won't work because we've installed this on an old i7 and got it to work perfectly fine. But as far as what they test with is only going to be EPYC and Opterons because it's focused on commercial and data center. Doesn't mean it won't work. It just means what they will put their name behind working. So it should work. Let's see. Yeah, 2700 plays fine Zen 2. Cool. No, I don't use any other ConnectWise tools. I only use their ConnectWise control tool. A Zen server and FreeNAS is just data storage to me. I don't like the hypervisor in it. It's very, the Beehive hypervisor seems to have a long way to go. Simple Help is another one. Screen flicker sometimes, but feature rich. We're paying for the commercial one, so if you're looking for something free, it's not going to be there. Simple Help. Yeah, I like. See, one of the things I like, and I don't know other companies specifically that do this. Maybe they do. One of the things I like about the ConnectWise control software is we host it ourselves, so that is something I really like a lot. That makes a big difference to me. So I prefer self-hosted applications. I don't mind paying for them. I just prefer them. What else we got here? I mean, let's talk about virtualization. What else you want to talk about? Please ask. I've been rambling. I was rambling about DNS and SNI encryption. Now I'm on this topic. So I don't know what to offer. What do I offer as a Black Friday deal? Simple Help's not free. Okay. Simple Help lets you run your own server. Well, that's cool. Self-hosted. Neat. Okay. I haven't had a need to switch, and we also have over 500 computers in ConnectWise controls, so we'd have to migrate them all. And like I said, we have a license now with Screen Connect, ConnectWise controls. So I haven't really had a need to switch from it. It works great. There's no complaints I have. I haven't seen a compelling reason for me to switch. Would you recommend Unify apps for a large storage warehouse? Yeah, all day long. We have large warehouses. We have like a 50,000, 70,000 square foot warehouse that we put some Unify in recently. They work great. Yeah, I mean, throw Unify in them. A lot of Unifys, it's 200,000 square feet. But yes, we've done some large scale installs. I got to do a follow-up video. We're almost done with it because we're waiting on the fiber lines to come in. But we did that bowling alley that is 80,000 square feet with Unify, with a maximum capacity of 3,000 users, potentially. I don't think it'll come to 3,000, but yeah, we've done some big installs with them, so they work great. We did that stadium I walked through. I didn't get to do the final video on that, but how often do you lose jobs to cheaper prices only to get work? That's messy. Generally, the people who are shopping on cheap prices, we were just laughing about them as we were going through all the piles of business cards, and this person went with the lowest bidder, and the lowest bidder did an absolute disaster. And shocking, right? The person who was the cheapest did a horrible job. And what happened in the end is they called us back, but they couldn't believe it cost that much to fix. They're like, but we already spent, we bid like $8,000 for the job. The person did it for like $2,000. Looks like hell. And now they want us to come in. And I'm like, we have to rerun all these wires. There's no way for me to fix this. So they were upset and still didn't go with us because they're still shopping on price. Now they want to pay someone else to clean it all up. So it's not a very often thing. And I don't always know. I have a couple pending sales. I don't know where they're at. I have to follow up. And a couple people just vanished. They quit replying. I don't know if they never switched or whatever. Can you something about active redundancy in Linux machine? I don't know what that means. Senate PIMP have since helped my sanity. Awesome. Yeah, nuke everything. Follow the guide. Sometimes you just gotta nuke and pave. That's the way. Nuke and pave. That's just how you fix things occasionally. And when you've got a server that you've now goofed with and you can't remember all the settings you goofed with, so nuke and pave. SSL VPN tunneling. Actually, I did AIS. Someone said I can post links now. Does it? Hey, look, there's your SSL VPN tunneling. This is some automated tools to set that up. I work for Comcast Tier 3 support internet, work from home. They are trying to have us install VPN systems. They told that the track off IP Vanish was good. What do you recommend? We have I'm going to go to my website. But I understand, Lars, what redundancy is, but redundancy in cPanel, I don't know what that has to do. You build the back end redundant, not cPanel redundant. I don't understand the way you're wording it, maybe. Affiliates we love. So if you ever want to just show us some love, some of these, where's the one? Oops, that's apps. It's the wrong thing. Affiliates, there we go. I've done a review and I'm happy with PIA. I'm not saying the other ones are bad. I'm just saying I've taken the time to review PIA. I've got a offer code sign up for PIA right here. So I can also copy link. Well, I don't normally, if you're hosting cPanel, you're going to want to build if you want to build a redundant load balancer and things like that, I don't know that I have the time to make a video. And it's also one of those, just run it in AWS or one of the hosted services or even DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean gives you the load balancer configured. The hours it takes to configure one is extensive. Like it's not a one-click project. It would be an in-depth setup video, and I don't know, I'm not that good at it. I generally, when people need things at scale, they're either just going right to DigitalOcean or AWS. People aren't as often building it in their own colos because of the involvement of it. So if you're building something that needs to scale at that level, you may as well start out in somewhere, because if not, you got to have some really good solid hardware and build up your storage. You need a storage system like maybe Ceph. I have some friends that do this for a living. They also make well over six figures just setting it up. So it's extensive. It's hard to get them to sit down and do a video with it. It's a really enterprise feature. It's really cool. If I had time, I'd love to do a video on it, but I don't really have the time for it. Soft other supports SSL PM, used a couple times with pfSense in front of a router firewall. Cool. Let's see. Windows 10 needs to die. Don't use it. It is what it is. Can't really do a lot about it. Yeah, I'm still on Project Fi. And also, and I think I talked about this. Maybe I did. I can't remember. I posted it on the interwebs. I am super impressed with this. This is night sight off, night sight on. Same photo. Well, same picture taken in the same room. This is just right out behind my door because the lights are off in there. I have the new Pixel 2 and I got the night sight feature. It's pretty cool. So that's definitely pretty neat. I think I got, yeah. Picture of my son. The only light is from the computer and everything else is completely dark outside and dark behind him. The lights are off in the living room and he's quite determined playing his game here, but it's amazing how good the night sight works on there. Project Fi with the Google Pixel 2, I'm still super happy. It's super amazing. So definitely awesome there. It's way cheaper to buy a reseller package on there. We do it. I do internet hosting. I buy it from A2. No secrets here. Why? It's cheaper than doing it myself with less headaches. Way cheaper. Unless you're going to do it at the scale and get like 10,000 websites hosted, you're not going to make your money back on the time and effort you'll put into trying to build a redundant server. But if you go to something like A2, you can pay a few dollars a month for a reseller account, like, I don't know, $50 a month for a reseller account and resell 1,000 websites and make a better margin on it without any of the headaches. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. How many videos are my agenda to make? Thousands. Do I use Active Directory? Not in my office. We do it for clients all day. Dual WAN, you want to configure HA first for everything when you're setting up pfSense. So first thing you want to do is get your HA config, make sure that's working. Once your HA config is working, then you can move on to everything else because everything syncs via the HA config. So it's better if you have them set up ahead of time and then start building it out. Getting 100 gigs for around $45, the price I have. Yeah, because we're in Michigan, I like A2. It's a Michigan company, so they're local. Here's their pricing on it. Whoops. So I'm not saying they're the cheapest. There's just some. I'm just throwing it out here because theirs was pretty reasonable. But you get your reseller hosting plan starting at like $22 a month with 1,000 gigs of transfer and 150 gig of RAID 10 storage. It's cheap. You can resell a bunch of sites with a ton of features, and they keep it all up to date. They're doing security mitigations and fixes all the time. Yeah, so I can't justify my own self setting up some of the programs on there. And this comes with, up to date Let's Encrypt installed, all the updates in the back end for this. A really slick web interface to control it all. It's easy. It's just not worth my time. At $37 a month, and you can make some margin on this if you're trying to resell hosting. It just works. Speaking of dual WAN, has Ubiquiti fixed their WAN failover with USG? Seems to be very flaky, slow failover, experience workaround, slow failover. Yeah, anytime there's a failover, don't use UniFi. Sorry. I'm going to do this comparison video pretty soon. That's one that's high on my list because everyone asks me this question of why do we use this firewall? Why do we use this firewall for different scenarios? And I'm like, it's really easy. If I'm putting it in a place that needs advanced features, I don't use the UniFi. I'm sorry. I love UniFi. I love their Wi-Fi deployments. Their firewalls, the fact that I have to go through and edit a JSON file to add a second WAN IP address is stupid. I'm sorry. Until that problem is fixed, it's not easy to administer. I go the pfSense route. Just so extensive. When I have a crazy firewall job I'm working on right now where we got to do multiple VPNs on a single box, routing in between the VPNs, and like 10 VLANs with a series of rules that apply to each one. It's an extensive rule set base, extensive VPN configurations. pfSense, it has all those features built in. It's really nice for that. It supports complicated, crazy setups that people have in their place. UniFi, you're a small 10-person office that has no firewall rules because you don't need to port forward anything. Everything is just on the web for you. Drop a UniFi and works great. You need failover. UniFi starts to not be as nice of a solution. Right away, like you said, I've seen this. We've played with it. We're like, it just doesn't seem to work as well. I know they're getting better at it. I haven't tested it lately, and I could be wrong that it's gotten better, but the problem is when it wasn't good to begin with, we don't deploy them. And until our next deployment requires it, we don't always think about solutions that failed us or didn't work well in the past. We focus on solutions that have worked well in the past, i.e. pfSense. Also Untangle. Untangle is another one I'm going to be doing out there for those of you, because I try to cover the free ones because a lot of people ask about those. But the paid ones like Untangle work really well. Let's see. Hey, what do you think about the possible DRM on pfSense? I have no idea what they're doing with it. Everyone's speculating. To me, there's no information. So with the utter lack of information about it, I don't even know if anyone covered this at all. Yeah, they didn't. I don't think there's anything in here. Just a lack of information. So if we go to the Netgate blog. Where'd they post this? It's in the blog. Can you just go to blog? Or is it just under news? So, utter lack of information for those wondering. So, apparently there's annoying fake products. Now that's a serious business. Netgate has been thinking about the problem. We've come up with a solution we believe will give customers networking insurance they deserve. And we just, I don't understand. The initial solution is being piloted a new product planned for release in late December. The product will be equipped with a microchip. And why is microchip copyrighted? Microchip crypto authentication device that stores a certificate to recognize a product as legitimate. I don't know. Cool. Let's see. I'm trying to read. Edge Router is even more complicated. Edge Router's got a lot of nice features, but it's more complicated. Matter of fact, that's one of the things with Edge Router that I kind of laugh, but I mean, it's a good series, but it also takes a series like this. So Chris has an entire series now just on, where is it at? It's probably a playlist. Yes. Here is all the Ubiquiti switching and routing basics and things like that. And he's talking about these
This is here. You see it.
switches. Now, and part of the reason why is these videos are really long, but the reason why there are that many videos, one, it's a powerful product. So we've got 8 videos, and each one of them is over 20, each of them are roughly on average 20 minutes long here, a couple of them longer, a couple of them shorter. But that's how extensive the features are, but that's also, it takes a lot more to configure it. So there's a lot that goes into them. They're not a bad product. You just have to take the time to learn them. Can Invoice Ninja support Norwegian? I don't know. I don't have language stuff installed. Do they probably have it listed somewhere? Maybe it's in their guide? Language. I don't know. I don't know if what other language. It has a lot of language support. So you'll have to do some searching and error posts in the forums. PBX is going great. We like it. We're real happy with it. Invoice Ninja CRM as well as your account invoicing system. Essentially, yes. So we do all of our customer management in it. That's how we do all of our quotes and proposals and everything else. So Invoice Ninja is that. It does kind of everything for us. Do I import from a ticketing system? No. We create invoices as tickets. That's been our solution. I don't like tickets being separate. So right now, that's how we're doing it. The Invoice Ninja is actually working on a ticketing system that'll be integrated within there. We're kind of waiting on for that. But the way we handle things is just different than other tech companies. I've been told I'm wrong all the time about it. I'm like, whatever. I'm happy and I'm making money. So how wrong is that? I don't know. It's great that they're working on ticketing, actually, because the tickets will flow through to be invoices, and it actually works with the same workflow that we like with Invoice Ninja. So it's actually pretty slick. It's a nice system the way they do that. So I definitely really like it. Supporting documents. Yeah, you can. Well, you don't tie documents to a customer. You can to. You can put documents as attached to a invoice. This is not our production system, so if you're wondering. This is the demo system we keep set up so I can do stuff. So if we look at invoices, and our invoice here to Dewey, Cheatham & Howe Law Firm, you can attach a document to this. There, I've now attached a document. So when I email this out to someone, they can get this attached document to it. That is supported in here. So I guess I don't know what you're asking, but if that's what you're asking, it is. Yeah, we don't have people. Matter of fact, this is one of those things that I'm going to talk about with MSPs. Yeah, Car Talk reference. People got that. I love Car Talk. Listen to all the episodes. Um, do you need to pay for white labeling Invoice Ninja? No, you can get it for free, but they do have their little tag at the bottom that says Invoice Ninja. If you give them $20 annually, they remove that for you. So, anyways, my customers are pretty happy as well. And that's actually, me and Brett are going to do some talks about this because we're running our company different than some of the other tech companies. And it's just because I hate the way a lot of things get done and they just turn everybody into a ticket. And it's funny if you go in and spend some time hanging out with technical people. I don't always spend time hanging out with other business owners as much as I hang out with other sysadmins. And it is just filled with, yeah, I work for a company that treats everybody as a ticket, and I'm just a wage slave who answers tickets and fills them out and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yep. I don't want to run a company like that. Could I make more money running a company like that? Sure. Do I care? No. At what point is enough money? That's a whole philosophical problem, but I do well, I'm happy, and I'm not running a grindy company full of a bunch of help desk people that just can't wait to punch out at 5 o'clock each day, closing out tickets. And then clients go, yeah, I filled a ticket out with you guys, and I waited, and no one replied for an hour, and da-da-da-da-da. We don't treat people as tickets. We have taken businesses away from these bigger MSPs that they just hate it. I mean, from a customer standpoint, they go, I don't want to be thrown into a ticket system every time I got a problem. I want to be able to talk to someone. So we go ahead and do that. We actually answer the phone when you call us. And it is fascinating to clients, and they actually have no problem paying us even more money to answer the phone and not turn them into a ticket each time. So it's very different philosophy, and I'm going to probably do some more videos on it, but I've talked about some of my business philosophy for all that. So, yeah. Send a driver and don't want to know how the invoice. I don't understand. Yeah, lots of people are off today. So there's different philosophies in how you run your business, and what we're seeing more and more in the MSP space, because allegedly if you're a managed service provider, you're a magical solution that you should just give us everything. You should have us handle your hardware and all that. And then you hear all these guys, you want to make better margin? Let me tell you the best way to make the best margin and everything else. And then all of a sudden I take away your clients because someone at that company got a calculator out and they're going, why is our AT bill $120,000 a year? And they don't answer calls and they just put tickets in for everything, and we haven't got a new upgrade in a while, and these projects aren't done, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yep. So it's a balance of things, and I don't know, I'll break down and go crazy about the philosophy and quit ranting about it. I'll get more concise. Yeah, so I worked for a year, and it felt like 3 years. If you work in one of those grindy places like that, it sucks. I know a lot of people that quit. And do they pay well? Oh, yeah. I have a friend who hates where he works. He loathes everything about where he works. He keeps working there because the company makes a lot of money and they pay him a lot of money. So he's kind of caught in the grind of he hates everything's a ticket. Everything's just procedural, dry, closing tickets all day. But they also pay him $120,000 a year. So he's like, well, I guess that's what I have to deal with to keep making this money. So, yeah. I don't. No, Invoice Ninja doesn't have document tied to how much it costs. I mean, Invoice Ninja does have, where's it at? Private notes. So I could put private notes in here if I wanted to put pricing in here like that. I don't do that. That part, I don't know. All of our invoices are labor. So they're not really, that's not like I have to break down. I know what I pay people. So, yeah. Delivery note with no pricing on. I still don't understand. Yeah, I guess I don't know what you mean. So I would like to answer the question. I tell you what, sign up for the free account. It costs you nothing for the free account, and you can answer all your own questions. As I don't know, I'm not sure how you're asking the question, maybe in a way I just don't understand it. So sign up for a free account. OpenSense is a fork of pfSense. I don't have a lot of thoughts in it. I've never really had a chance to test it. I will talk about, though, something that I don't like. November 8th, 1877. No, October 25th, 1876. October 18th, 1875. 1874, 1873. This is just the last few releases. This is a IT problem. Releases that are too frequent create headaches for us when we do mass deployments. This alone means OpenSense is probably a fun, great project for your home, but this is a big pain in the butt from a deployment standpoint. pfSense has very slower and easier to manage release cycles. If you have something that's releasing way too often and doesn't have an easy way for us to auto update all of the clients and not have any worries, then I can't really think about it in terms of business production. Yeah, I don't know what they really added, that it's a fork for the sake of forking. It's a fork because there was some true disagreements with things, and I think they put a prettier interface on it. That's cool. I don't care about pretty interfaces. They're fun, they're nice, but I care more about functional. How useful is it? Will it do the thing I need it to do? Will it make management easier for me? Then I care a lot. So I'll admit that Zen Orchestra, really nice interface here. And because of that, it means I can manage it really easy. That's important to me. The rest of it, not so important to me. Let's see. Oh, you want to create an itemized shipping with no costs? No, I don't think you can do that. Whenever I add something, we'll just create a new invoice. So here's an invoice. It fills in a price, tax if it's taxable. It's like any other line item invoice stuff. And you can put custom products and you can build out the products and it builds out the invoice. And then I can email the invoice and away you go. I've made an invoice that quick, I can send it. Zabbix, I've been looking into Zabbix and Libre as some other alternatives for monitoring. Right now, most of our monitoring is done with our RMM tool because it supports SNMP and everything else, and we just tie everything to that because we're paying for it, and it's SolarWinds, and it's nice. So mostly we do SolarWinds for monitoring, but I am going to be doing maybe a video on Zabbix or Libre NMS. I've been playing with both. I can't decide which one I like better and want to dive more into. Let's see. ESX for XCP-ng over ESX. ESX6 is a good product. I like XCP-ng better. West side of the mitten. Hey, how's it going? Have you ever used an open source router called MonoWall? Oh, not in forever. Is MonoWall still around? I thought they tanked. Wasn't this part of the... Yeah, MonoWall became OpenSense. So they're gone. So MonoWall's OpenSense now. We were just talking about them. It's just like IPCOP. Remember IPCOP? That was one of my first... is it still around? I don't know. Yeah, their domain's gone. When was the last release of this? IPCOP was awesome back in the day. It's been gone for a while. 2012 was the last one, so that's been, yeah. It was a great firewall back in the day. I used it in the early days. I did the early releases of it in probably around 2003. Whatever the earliest was of it. Oh, 2002. Yeah, it's been... I remember when it was first released, we dug into it, and I used to use it as a firewall back in the day. Yeah. How much time? it's not allocated in writing. I encourage my staff to constantly be training all the time. I just tell them to do stuff. Like, go do this or go do that. Like, if they don't have any jobs, but they're pretty self-motivated to do that. I hire people, and this is back to the philosophy of how you hire, how you build a company. If you build a company like, well, we're going to use Google because they're one of the few companies that have been able to do this at least some scale. People thought it was crazy that Google hired people and then told them that 20% of their time should be spent working on personal projects. And they're like, oh my God, that sounds like the company I wanted to work for, blah, blah, blah. That's amazing. No, if you hire people who are very tech-oriented like that, they won't take free time and screw off. They will work it to self-improve. So if you hire the right people, I don't really have to tell them to do it. If I look over there at Eric, the new guy, I'll use some example. He's got it. When there's not any phone calls, there's not any things, active projects to work on, or you're waiting for something to copy, he's there going through setting up and testing things. He's got his own VMs he spun up he wanted to test this idea he had in Linux, or he wanted to see how something worked. So he spends a lot of time doing that. And it's just, yeah, it's just kind of, it's not like I have to break it down. It's like, if there's free time, yeah, go ahead and do that. That's just how we are here. So, have you ever seen ClearOS in action? I have not. That is if I'm not mistaken, that's the all-in-one Magic Box. There's a couple companies like this that make these all-in-one boxes, and they're kind of neat, but I don't really have a strong opinion one way or another on them. I haven't used them enough, and they just don't. Here's the problem. Oh, wow. Download ClearOS. So what is the product? Business, I guess. I don't know. What is it? It's kind of like throwing everything in the kitchen sink in one box. From a security standpoint, that scares the hell out of me. I've always liked the system being all different pieces, but I don't know. I could be wrong about it. It's been so long since yeah. IP management inventory tool to manage IPs for a network, or to use something like Excel. We use SolarWinds and Unify, because Unify will tell me where all my IPs are. We create documents and maps of our network, so there's that, and we just draw the maps and put all the IP addresses on it. Here's my house map. Look, there's the things connected at my house. Drag this over. There we go. Here's my office and all the different devices on it, and IP addresses and what switch ports are plugged into. And if we go back over here, whoops, devices, we label every single port and what's plugged into it. So if the port's green, there's a label and I know where it goes. That's a important aspect of how we document everything. So yeah, that's definitely, I mean, documentation, we are really big on it, but Unify also simplifies it. And we name every port in every Unify so I know what's plugged into what port. We use it clients too. I'm just not going to show you my client stuff, but the same concept. So it doesn't really matter. Like, everything gets a label. Here's that 10 gig switch. Let me pop that out. Yeah, when you look at the ports, I know what's plugged into each one of these. This one's not labeled because we're doing a test. I actually will admit I don't label a test occasionally. Oh, you want a picture of my invoice design? SolarWinds does the SNMP logging and monitoring, but I am looking at Zabbix. Someone asked that earlier. Tools like PHP, I don't know what that is. Address management software? Oh, that's cool. Demo. What does it do? Like, why do I need to manage all these? What am I... Whoops. Admin. Oh, okay. I get it. So you can manage all your different subnets and servers and list them. I guess. I've never, like I said, never really used these open source IP address man. I guess I do things different. Well, if you're depends on the size of the environment. So if you're doing a massive environment, yeah, you need something like this. But that's not always. Most of our businesses are smaller, so we're not dealing with that piece of it. Kind of neat though. We don't make it on. Well, yes, no. I'll actually show you something. We don't make it on paper, but we can. Let me close. I got too many things open. Leave all this stuff. Like when I make a network map, this one's not finished. I pulled up ours, but we do these for clients, and we'll throw some stuff together, and then we print it out. Yeah. I think Nagios has more than Zabbix, but I don't have an opinion on either one right now. Zabbix is pretty cool too. They're both good. There's a lot. I don't know, because we're still on SolarWinds. I haven't had this real compelling need to move over to one of the other ones, because SolarWinds just takes care of so much of us. But by the way, SolarWinds not cheap. They'll take care of stuff for you, and they'll bill you for it. But they're keeping up the product and everything else. So So Zabbix, Naga, SolarWinds still. I like both the other products. I've been doing some testing, and Libre NMS. Libre NMS seems to be lighter weight though. Zabbix has a lot more stuff on there. Coffee in the morning, beer at night, and whiskey in the evening. Nice carrier name. Oh yeah. Comcastic Craptastic. That's life. Yeah, Zabbix seems pretty cool. Like I said, I'm going to do some in-depth reviews on it. It's definitely on my to-do list. Let's see here. But we'll draw maps, and one of the important things is when we create these documents, they get printed and put into the server rooms, because when things are down, you don't always have documentation available because the internet's down, things are broken, whatever. So these actually will get printed into a book that goes in the server room with some documentation. Unfortunately, sometimes it does get out of date when you're doing it that way, but at least if you have the critical servers labeled and a general layout of how the network is, and you keep that up to date. We keep it up to date digitally all the time, keeping it up to date in terms of what do you call it? A client site in paper form, a little bit harder to do, but we at least get an initial one out there. So, hey, look, my video seems to be pausing for reasons unknown. Did I lose internet? Did the internet break? Ping 1 Nope, I can still ping things, so the internet didn't break. Oh no, I dropped a packet. Packet loss. Where'd my packets go? Strange. Yeah, I probably should go get there. So, PTRG is cool too. I played with a demo of it. It's nice. I like Zabbix because it's open source. And I don't mind paying for product. I think Nagios has an open source version as well. I'm pretty sure they do. I really like things that are open source. And it's Zabbix is a pretty cool system. So they definitely are one. Nagios. Nagios has Nagios.org. They're open source products. So they're both open source. It comes down to opinions and how you like them and things like that. Zabbix looks pretty cool. I like the way the Zabbix utilities are. I've done more playing with Zabbix than I have Nagios, and I kind of like it. But then my friend Jay has done a lot of Nagios playing and not much with Zabbix, so he's got his opinions on that. So yeah, they're neither one of them is a bad product. It comes down to opinions. But someone had said something. Nice carrier name. I lost it. Anyways, check ARM Arcade. Well, that's the problem. There's so many utilities out there. IT monitoring software. Is it open source? It's not in a language I understand, which is unfortunate. I mean, I am at fault for not speaking more languages. So I will have to pass on things that are not in native English, because it becomes very difficult for me to use. Yeah, Nagios has, and so does SolarWinds. SolarWinds can send us a dashboard alert when a printer's low on ink. They have all kinds of built-in features. Like I said, I keep coming back to SolarWinds, even though I know it's not open source, but it's a very complete tool for managing the Windows server. So I've not found anything in the open source world that's equivalent. So yeah, back to the licensing things. So one of the reasons I like open source is an aggravation I had. So we had to renew RStudio. Nope, not that RStudio. Is it R-Studio? RStudio Recovery. And this is stupid, but anyways, refresh your screen if the screen died. I don't know. It's still a few people said it's still working. So this company, I don't have anything against them. We use their product. I've talked about it before. It's one of the recovery tools we use, and I like it because it works in Linux. I have not found an open source recovery tool. And yes, I have used what's that one? PhotoRec and a few others. This works really good, but not open source. That's life. And some things aren't open source. That's fine. But on the other side of it is I dislike the way they do their licensing. So we updated the software in our computer that runs that. We wanted to reload it to the latest version of Ubuntu that runs on our recovery box. That broke the license. Because I had bought the product, bought and paid for it, the commercial version, they wouldn't give me the license again because once you update the OS, they don't cover it. That was their answer. And I'm like, really? You don't cover it? So you have to buy a support package to get the license to renew. So even though I have a license for it, because it contacts their licensing server, it won't contact their licensing server when it's out of date. So you have to reload it to get... that's just aggravating. It wasn't much money. It's only like $40 for it. It's not about the money. That's actually really cheap. But the other side of it is, yeah, that's just a lot. How many client has paid you on a certain date? How many clients have paid me on a certain day? I'm not understanding the question. Yeah, they do have a license for it, but once your support expires, they won't let you reload it. Even though you have it, it doesn't quit working when the support expires. If you take changes to the computer, for example, updating to the new version of Ubuntu, it broke the software and the license had to be reactivated, and they won't reactivate it unless you pay for a support. So I didn't have to buy the tool over again. I only had to renew the $39 support. So it's a really minimal amount of money for data recovery software. It's actually very affordable, but it's just a, it's I don't know. I don't like that. Because what if this company went out of business? If this company closes, their licensing server goes with them, and that's it. I'm dead. I have to go find another tool that I got to go buy again after purchasing this. And if it was an open source project, they would have a large donation from me. I have donated to many projects. And if you look at, this is, can you make money with open source? will people pay for it? Are people who like open source looking for free things? These guys only looked for $6,000 in funding. They got $38,000 in funding to fund their project. Look, I got no problem donating to open source and paying money for projects. I got some things that people send me for donating to open source and things like that. It's really cool. I don't mind paying for stuff. But that being said, I like not having the licenses in there, because what if something happens or the project goes awry? I lose the licenses I paid money for, and I don't like that. That's just, you don't actually ever own it at that point. If it has to contact a licensing number to keep working, you don't own that software even though you paid for it. That's just a mental thing I have. Well, I think I might have to wrap this up soon. Is there any other questions people have for me? Well, there's a lot of you in here. I got 124 people watching. My wife hasn't complained yet, so really, what have you donated the most for an open project? I think I've donated several $100s to Kdenlive, the video editing project. That's still how I do my open source editing. Smaller projects are just KDE in general. They had some donation stuff. Other projects that I've donated to, some of them are now defunct. If you remember, I did videos on the cloning software this guy was writing. I was a regular donate. I've donated a few $100s to him for his cloning software for development. Unfortunately, it was just really hard for him to keep up with. So he did abandon the project, but we used it for years. I don't feel at all cheated. I feel as though I got my value out of it. So even though it's no longer maintained and updated as a package, it was a great solution that got us to a number of years using it. To me, giving him a few $100, no problem. I sent it directly to him via PayPal. Yed. Yet another design program. It's free. I just kind of think it's slick how it works. And this is kind of neat too. So it works online. So you can use it online, open existing document. It does all kinds of neat stuff too. It's way more extensive than just your average thing. Plus, everything links really well. So you got this, just a slick product. I like the alignment tools in it. I'm using it for obviously when I was doing some other documentation, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know any good recovery software that's open source. If someone knows of one, awesome, cool. So, Yed's not open source? Yeah, Yed isn't. If you're looking for an open source one, leave. DIA is kind of neat, but man, I just had a hard time with Diagram Editor. It just... I used this for a while. I really tried. I just never got good with it. So, same with LibreOffice Draw. Yeah, I tried that too. I have it. Maybe I should give it another go. I just didn't find this as intuitive or easy to use as some of these other ones either. So. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay is all I can really leave it at. Versus like Yed just works really easy and was easy to collaborate on. Draw.io is another one that's pretty cool. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if someone can improve PhotoRec. I mean, it's neat. It works. God, I used to support photographers in recovering their little SD cards. Best utility ever, still to this day for doing that. So, so yeah, one day maybe someone will do the PhotoRec. And maybe you people can suggest it, but I want to do some collaborative videos with a couple of people on YouTube. I got to reach out to them. I know he's really busy, but maybe I'll do one with Level 1 Techs. I'd like to actually, and I see him right here, Louis Rossman. I like Louis Rossman a lot. He'd be a really cool guy to collab with. So would, if you haven't followed him, who was the Linux Gamer? He's a nice, I've talked to him online a couple times. He's really great. If you want to get into games on Linux, because that's everyone's excuse for not running to run Linux is because they don't they don't want to run Linux because they can't play their games. This guy helps you out with that. I don't play a lot of games, so it's less. Yeah. Thanks to my wife and family. Look, I'm hiding because there's a lot of kids at my house right now. For those of you who don't know, I have grandkids too, so there's a lot of them there, and it's noisy there. And I've been up since 5 because that's when they got up, and I was like, oh yeah, we played the fun game of don't touch that, don't touch that, don't touch that. Finally, my wife woke up, and I'm like, I'm out of here. I played the don't touch that game all morning. I'm sure things are broke by now. Don't touch the TV, I said way more times than I want to count because kids touch the TV for reasons unknown. Module. Ooh, cool. FreePBX has updates. Exciting. I don't understand. So I'm also confused with YouTube comments. I don't know if I should pull them up over here. See how safe they are before I pull them up. I try not to be a smartass, but occasionally I don't understand the people's comments. Get over to that section of YouTube. Shodan is a search engine for open ports. I think you mean Shodan, not Shodan. Yeah, by Christmas it'll be interesting. Let's see. Yeah, people who always want me, I don't understand, and I'm not trying to be too much for smartass, but occasionally, because I reply, if you notice, I reply to my messages, as long as I see them. YouTube makes some nested replies hard to see. So this person's like, I want to ask you something, so reply, and I can't help it, I just like reply. You could have just asked. I don't know why you would post a question asking me something. This is one of those things. I try not to be the guy screaming RTFM, but occasionally I am, because some people ask me some of the craziest stuff that I don't understand. Like, I want to help people. I get it. I really want to help people. But sometimes, like, we got a guy call us because he was wanting to know how to set up Suricata. I'm like, well, he watched a video on it, but he did not understand what a firewall was, but insisted that he watched my video and I should teach him how to do it. And I'm like, I can't teach you how to Suricata if you don't know what a firewall is. And he said, well, please explain what firewall is. And I'm like, I don't have time, but I watched your video and I said, thank you. And they get angry at me because I'm like, we have a rate for training and I'm not sure. Like, I don't ever want to be a smartass, but sometimes I'm just like, it will be in the morning. I forgot to reply to Corey. In the morning. You guys are watching what I do here. But this is where the crazy people. This person seems to be nuts. I suck, apparently. And it's a hieroglyphic app made to confuse the hell out of people. And I don't know if I should respond to those people or not when I get some of these comments. No, I would never show you how to build a firewall from scratch because it would be a terrible video. I don't build firewalls from scratch. There's a reason I'm using pfSense and other firewalls. So, yeah. So there's just like, and I do these live shows. This is me offering to answer all these questions for free. Anything you guys, I'm trying to cover everything. I do these. I tell people on Thursdays, watch the live show, and I answer and reply to hundreds of emails. There's not really, I don't mind answering questions, and I'm very polite, but when people get indignant or insistent, and we had someone who called in our office, they called our support line and got mad because they wouldn't forward them over to me, and they're like, just send Tom an email. And I'm open with my email address, tom@lawrencesystems.com. I reply to hundreds of emails all the time. Send me an email. I reply. So, I don't mind replying, but sometimes my reply, if you say, can you walk me through in depth how to set up Suricata? Your video was good, but I need more information. Well, there's going to be a fee for that. I mean, at some point, you have to charge. I'm not being obnoxious. It's just how it works. But if you had a basic question, lots of people have basic questions. I answer them all the time because someone had a question. They offered to pay me for something. And I said, do you know you can just copy and paste it? They go, really? I said, yeah, it was just a way they wanted to do a config file. And they're like, I'm not going to charge you for that because I don't see why I would. Like, you just didn't. Or sometimes I've had people that didn't check about. They're like, hey, this is really bad. I'm like, well, can you troubleshoot it for me? I'm like, I already know what you did wrong. Just fix this. You could pay me if you want, but just fix this. And actually, the person sent me $25. I was like, cool. Screen tearing, it does it sometimes. I don't have an answer as to why. It's a Linux thing. Not seeing built from scratch Linux firewalls that protect the OS. Maybe you know what? That is a video I probably should do. Yes, bank transfer is a payment method. And I'm assuming you mean Invoice-Ninja, Lars. But yes, you can. Back to where I was at. Hardening Linux. I'm probably going to do a video on that. I will do a video with Phil or Jay on that. So. Either one of those people will let you do better videos than me on Linux. Matter of fact, I hardened my Linux systems, and then I talked to one of my friends on how to do that. I always have them double check it. Products, notifications, import, invoice settings. Where is the payment gateway? I don't know if it's in this one. I know where it is in my hosted version. Oh, derp right here. So we want to credit cards and banks, user management, email, templates, portal, invoice. Somewhere in here is the payment gateways. Oh, online payments right here. Add gateway. So online payments, add gateway. Here's the main ones they support. Here's the next one. They support like 60 different payment systems. So one of these should work for you, or email them. But they have 60 of them, so one of those should work. Check what you thought the best way to set up Unify. Does EdgeRouter X and Unify AC Pro sound good, or USG and AC Pro? That's a matter of opinion. Whichever one you like, they both will work. Home setup. Go for whichever one you're comfortable with. Whichever one's easy. Unify platform is easier to use than the EdgeRouter. They both work great though. Yep. Thanks. What name do you like going by? Tom? Tom's fine. So no problem there. Great series of videos on SCI and NFS. Oh, iSCSI and NFS. Yes. Bank transfer, not there. Well, you can't just do a bank transfer because it has to bridge between banks. So you have to use something like Braintree. You have to use an intermediary. It's not like the bank. You have to be a bank to do a bank transfer. So you have to have an intermediary for that. Installing mods. What mods? I've never installed any mods. I use stock Invoice-Ninja, so I don't know what mods you're looking for. How come setting up a bridge interface on Linux is a pain? I don't know why. Well, I don't know. I guess that's an opinion. If you don't know how to do it, it's difficult. Everything's difficult if you don't know how to do it. So a pain is going to be anytime someone says something's a pain, it's because they don't know how to do it. And I say things are a pain because they don't know how to do them. So if you're good with Linux networking, it's not a pain. If you're not good with Linux networking, it's a pain. Because I've had people tell me, Linux is too hard. I'm like, well, I've been using it for 22 years, or more than. I started using Linux in 98, so it's easier for me than it may be for other people. I say using it. I started installing it in the earlier days with floppy disks with Slackware, and I failed. So my failures I do not count as using it. They were learning opportunities. That made me hate Linux the first couple years, but I've been loving Linux ever since the 98 or 99. somewhere around there. And I've been using it as my desktop OS since around 2008. So like 10 years of desktop OS support. Nothing. Actually, Windows is troublesome to me. Windows is always my headache. Windows stuff is always just a mess. What are you going to do about it, though? You know, go back and reply to crazy people. See, these are nested replies are the most difficult because it doesn't always tell me about them. And I've done a rant video on this. So I do try to reply to all of your things on there. I also tell people this all the time. LawrenceSystems.com. Because of the number of questions we get. Contact. Oh, look, a forum. Contact a human at LTS. This goes to humans. It goes to the humans at LTS. This goes into a spreadsheet that's on Google that my staff has, so we can start replying to you and getting things done because I only scale so much. I only have so much bandwidth to talk to people, but I've delegated these to my staff, and we answer a lot of questions for people. And I do admit, when someone has something more complicated, especially with XCP-ng, I mean, a lot of questions on them. Like, seriously, the forums are amazing. There's a ton of responses in here for all kinds of stuff. Trying to get USG to work behind a firewall, is it possible? LAN, USG, Fortinet, WAN? Sure. You can double NAT it. You just got to make sure all the IP addresses don't conflict. Anytime you double NAT, that's a rule of firewalls. Double NATing, things don't route if you use the same firewalls. If the firewall WAN IP is in the same range as the LAN IP, it won't route, so you can't double NAT. Who do you think Canonical will buy, Microsoft or Oracle? Yeah, either. I don't know. Something. I don't know if they're going to get sold or bought or who knows what. Let's see. Oh, I want to say thank you for the unified 10 gig switch video. Looks like that best 10 gig switch for the money. It really is a good 10 gig switch. I'm not only happy with it from a functional standpoint. Get this out of the way. Log into it. Make sure it's logged into my office. This switch is just cool. Where's the stats page actually? Insights, clients, stats. Here's me doing backups. Oh, look, moving data along on it. It's got cool seeing things. Here's the 10 gig switch. Here's the peak when we're doing backups in the last, change it to a little bit further back daily. There we go. Last 7 days, apply. There we go. You can see the curve of data usage when we copy stuff. I like the switch. It's really slick. It's got a lot of features. It works really well. You haven't had any problems with it at all. Matter of fact, since we did our rack video, we actually added one more SFP plus to get more connectivity and one of the dual cards because of the way we split our networks. Oh, well. All right, I probably should get going. I've been on this thing for like 2 hours. This has been a really long session, but it was a great morning, so I enjoyed it. And I did my my backups are all done. I did them on Thursday instead of here. This is important. I don't feel like testing them now, but I'm going to cover our disaster recovery stuff because someone had commented about having a disaster, their backups didn't work, and I'm like, untested backups are wishful thinking. You have to test your backups. And I actually am going to be doing that on there. I have no recommendations for VPN on EdgeRouter. VPN on EdgeRouter is a headache to me. Headache because I'm not good at it. Watch Chris's videos, and if you say, wow, it took hours to set that up, yes, that's why I like pfSense for VPN. But these are, I test and do restores on our backups to make sure that they work. And I just restored one the other day, but I'll probably test another one this weekend. These are for your disaster recovery planning. Not only should you always back up, you should always have a DR plan that's sensible and tested again. And before you do any updates, just in case. And let me eject this. As I'm ejecting my backup plan, which is in my hand now, I have these magical devices, which is it's a 1 terabyte hard drive, USB powered. I keep a couple of these, and this is how I take all my VMs off site. This is encrypted, so if someone took it, It's encrypted with a long password and things like that. And I'm going to do an updated video, but I've talked about this before. I take and back up an entire snapshot of my VMs, put them on here, and do that. And then hourly, there's other backups happening every hour. That's because an hour's worth of data can be a lot for us. We do a lot of invoicing, we do a lot of sessions. Losing an hour's worth of data can be a pain. So we actually are looking at, all this sits on RAID arrays and redundant systems, but it's also looking at maybe even backing up every half hour because it doesn't create that much data. I'm looking at more plans, and I'll, of course, share with you how I planned it all out, because we have clients that we have even heavier backups for because of their data usage. Losing an hour of data to them, when you figure out what the company's making per hour, you think of that's how much it costs in an hour to lose. Tape backups, I actually will comment on that. Tape backups are kind of dead, except not dead. So, Linus. So, I don't want a copyright strike, so I'm not going to play the video. But he covers why they bought a $5,000 tape backup. I don't know, there's love and hate for Linus, but whatever. He does cover it, and he has a use case that matches a $5,000 tape drive because he's got more data than he knows what to do with because of what they produce shooting everything on 4K. So, that. It's not that I have an opinion. I used to use them all the time. We don't use them anymore here, but my data needs are not your data needs. So if you have Linus's data needs and you're shooting everything with 4K Epic Red cameras or 8K Epic Red cameras, whatever the hell he's using, you may need a tape drive that supports that kind of there. So anyways, I'm going to run. Finally got the message from the wife. I don't have shoes on, so I'm looking for them if you wonder why I'm looking at the floor. We never wear shoes at my office. We always take them off or just wander around our socks and slippers most of the time. Once again, that work environment I've created. Love all you. Thank you for hanging out with me Thanksgiving morning. I'm going to go hang out with family now. My backups are complete. Vlog Thursday's now complete. Really long session. Awesome having all of you here. Once again, feel free to, I do answer all the questions as much as I can, to leave questions, comments, fill out forms, things like that. So we definitely will get back with you. Like I said, anyone who knows us, we're really good about following up with people and replying. So, all right, thanks. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, too, for those of you in the U.S.